It's Friday, March 7th, and I'm David Song, currency analyst with Daily FX, here to cover the Dow Jones US dollar index. At the same time, we'll also look at the euro dollar, which is at a very interesting juncture, and especially that we have a lot of European central banks officials speaking next week. We'll want to keep a close eye on the single currency as well. So on that, guys, earlier this morning, we saw a nice NFP print, certainly coming in better than market expectations at 174K. While the jobs rate, we saw a slight uptick to an annualized print of 6.7%, but for the most part, we also saw some good figures in terms of wage growth. Saw that pick up to an annualized pace of 2.2%. And on that, we saw the dollar index bounce back from a fresh monthly low. But here's my current take on it, as I still think we're on a more bearish course for the Dow Jones FXCM US dollar index. So let's just jump into the chart right now. So again, we made that fresh monthly low, came into this nice pivot that we've been watching. However, given this bounce and given the fact that we've carved a lower low in the recent series, looks as though we might be on a little bit more of a upward trajectory here, maybe a nice consolidation, correction, if you will. But even on that, guys, I think we could be still maybe carving out a new series of lower highs paired with lower lows, as long as the RSI here retains the bearish structure. So yesterday, right, we saw the break to the downside, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll continue to watch the downside for the dollar index. But even on this bounce, guys, we'll watch the topside objectives again for a near-term top, but might see this bearish momentum continue despite some of the data prints that we saw, and especially after the market reaction. But the one pair that I'm really interested going forward, and especially for next week, is going to be the euro-dollar exchange rate. And again, we have lots of ECB officials speaking next week, also including ECB President Mario Draghi. But however, given the recent comments after the rate decision, it looks as though we won't get anything new from the central bank head, and as a result, we'll watch what we can get. Maybe we'll hear some more commentary on what the ECB will do going forward, but for the most part, euro dollar, we made that higher high finally, and as a result, we'll continue to watch what's going to happen here, whether we could manage a close above that key 38.70, 38.80 region. However, one thing to take into note here, as we're in this new upward trending channel with the bullish momentum in the RSI, looks as though as we struggle to hold above trendline resistance, might get a nice pullback. But even on this correction, guys, we'll see if the channel will be maintained, especially as the ECB continues to endorse a neutral tone for monetary policy. So we'll continue to watch them, but even on this pullback with the euro dollar, guys, looks as though this bullish momentum will continue, as we've broken out, of course, out of the long dating bearish trend from all the way back in 2008. So we'll watch near-term price action, but for the most part, guys, ECB might see some further upside in the single currency next week should we see a growing number of ECB officials adopt a little bit more of a neutral tone for monetary policy. But even on that, guys, we'll also watch the yen crosses very closely next week. They have been largely moving with market sentiment. However, with the Bank of Japan on tap next week, we'll watch largely the commentary. They're not expected to do much, but in light of some of the recent commentary where Bank of Japan officials are actually noting that they might halt the easing cycle in the region even before they achieve that 2% target for inflation, we'll see if that will be mimicked once again. Maybe we'll see some further pressure from the BOJ that, again, maybe they won't be as willing to expand their asset purchase program after they've, of course, increased their lending program to just about 7 trillion yen. But with on that, guys, as we head into the weekend, just be mindful. Market participation will probably thin. And, of course, over the weekend, guys, we'll be turning our clocks an hour ahead in terms of daylight savings. So with all that in mind, guys, very interested to see what's going to happen next week after the market reaction to NFPs. But, guys, going into the weekend, as always, stay prudent and good luck trading.